College is a time for a fresh start. It's a time for many of us to start a new chapter in our life and find out who we're really going to be. College is when you try on numerous identities and experiment with new ideas before your influx personality calcifies into an adult-shaped mold. Some experiment with sexuality, others may experiment with drugs, and some may experiment with the primary urge to devour human flesh. This is It Records. Welcome back, all you creatures of the night. This is Matt Johnson, out from the shadows, back again here on the It Records podcast. Thanks for joining me. But I'm not alone. There are other people here as well.
You're never alone. We'll haunt you when we die.
Oh. Well, Pete and Linz, thanks for joining me again for once again the It Records podcast. Thanks for being here. You guys are real troopers.
Got nowhere else to be.
Speak for yourself.
I'm here against my will.
Yeah.
I signed a 99-year contract. This is what I did.
Fine print.
And your soul. You sold your soul here as well.
But then after that, I get it right back. You know, it's just 99 years.
Yeah. Lindsay has a clause in hers. She can opt out at any time.
You didn't say anything about any clauses.
Without further ado, though, if you didn't pick up from the intro, for this week on the film, we did a 2016 French-Belgian film entitled Raw, or its original title, Grave, directed by Julia Ducournau, and she was also the writer of the film.
Oh, they changed the name from Grave to Raw?
Yeah, I didn't know that until after I'd seen the film, and I was like just doing some research. And if you actually Google like Raw 2016 film IMDb, the first result will be Grave 2016
Weird.
film, and then Raw will be in parentheses. So that's, I think it's actually what it's known as in France. It's Grave, and then internationally it's Raw.
That's interesting.
I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this was my pick this week. I went out and picked Raw. And if you haven't heard of it, it follows a character named Justine. She is a vegetarian who's going to veterinary school where her sister goes. And during a hazing ritual, she is forced to eat meat. She's a vegetarian. And from there,
Not just meat, but raw kidneys of a rabbit.
As like some sort of hazing ritual.
Mm-hmm. For all the vets, all wannabe vets have to eat raw animal organs.
When I was watching this movie, I'm like, man, the French are fucking crazy. But I was just like, oh yeah, this is just a movie.
It's all fictional, Pete. This wasn't a
documentary. Oh shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And from eating that raw meat, she, I guess, gets a taste for human.
Do you think
flesh.
it actually was kidneys of a rabbit? Do you think it actually was human meat? Because she develops like the stereotypical urges of cannibalism. Like when they don't eat meat, they like, I forgot what it's called, but it's like they get like the shakes and then they like scratch themselves. So I was suspecting that they actually gave her human meat, which is why she developed it. Taste for it.
I didn't think of it like that, and she does have those qualities you said. If you eat human meat, those like your body kind of revolts, and you have like the shakes, which she has. But I just kind of thought it was raw meat and raw animal meat, and she's vegetarian. But then I even suspect that even more after kind of knowing the ending. I don't want to spoil anything yet, but even more so, I was like, oh, it was probably definitely animal meat. But I could see that being possibly human meat in that first hazing ritual.
So either way, it was disgusting.
Yes. Matt is 2 for 2 for disgusting movie picks. Let everyone know that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is my other one I Spit on Your Grave?
Yes.
Yeah, what a terrible
just want to make sure.
So...
I didn't know if it was that or Scream,
no,
or
Scream.
which one.
Come on. Scream is so mainstream. It's so mainstream.
Fine. It's interesting you bring that up, too, because I chose I Spit in Your Grave because I wanted to do an exploitation one back when we did that. And I originally wanted to do Cannibal Holocaust, which was vetoed at the time. Yeah, that was vetoed. So I chose a cannibalistic one now. But I would ask you guys then, you said a gross movie, but would you say this falls into that same exploitation category as like I Spit on Your Grave or Cannibal Holocaust? Like, you feel grossed out, but is it really exploitation horror?
I was just thinking about this and wanted to talk about it too, because it made me think of the same exact moment that you're talking about, and I'm going to say no. Mm-hmm. It's different. There's something, I don't know if it's maybe because it's a French film. They got a little bit of class. It just makes it... He's like, you know what? This is a classy way of doing cannibals. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's just, like, shot, obviously, a lot better. I mean, it's pretty easy to do that when... Just by today's standards of technology. But I feel like this director is very talented. Like you said, she wrote it, too. So... Like, I'm interested to see what else she does, because it seems like she has a talent for making horror. Like, she succeeded in making me feel really grossed out and creeped out the whole time. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the grossest movies I've seen in a while.
And even with that, there's really only 3 scenes where, like, human flesh, you see kind of like a cannibalistic scene. But yet you do get that eerie kind of unnerving feeling. I feel like the whole film, like something is going to happen always.
Yeah, I was like on edge, like the whole time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is like spoilers, but I was just like confused. Mm-hmm. I'll avoid the ending talk because that like definitely was like a bigger reveal than like everything else. But as we see that her tendencies with like wanting to eat meat and like eyeing up her gay roommate like in a loving way that she wants to eat him. I don't know. she wants to. You could see her like later on, like she tries biting him and stuff and succeeds in biting him. But is there like more cannibals in this movie besides her sister? Like, is there like a secret society of cannibals, or is it just like them? Like I was like thinking like the reason why they're like hazing and then like they're calling her sister's calling these people traitors is like there's like a secret group of cannibals that succeed in this veterinary school. Mm-hmm. And whoever doesn't like change like gets like booted or eaten or whatever.
I don't know. Feel like I see I didn't think of that, but you know like how there's that scene where she just kind of go like she blacks out, she goes crazy, she's like eating from a corpse, right, at this party. Everyone's acting like that's pretty weird because it is, right? So, and she's, like, ostracized after that. So, I would question that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's kind of where my thought process was going when I watched it. But as it progressed, I think it's just the sisters. Because the other people do kind of seem put off by it. Especially when there's that fight scene between the sisters and they're, like, biting each other. They're like... You guys are weird. Like,
yeah, true.
Like they're not like, yeah, get her. It's like they look kind of repulsed by it. So, I think it's just them. And if I may, I think, and I listened to several interviews by Julia Ducournau. I sent you guys one. It's pretty fascinating listening to her, and I can put that on the website as she's the director. But I think what she was trying to do with the cannibalism is it's just and Julia Ducournau does this with a lot of her other films, like body metamorphosis films, where she shows characters growing and like coming of age through physical transformations. And this one is like cannibalism, where you're like literally devouring other people to like gain social status, sort of a thing. And her skin's kind of falling off, as you mentioned, Pete, and she has like the shakes, is like her kind of blossoming into like a new person in college. So she's kind of using cannibalism as that metaphor. And I think it's just her and her sister, because that's who we're focused on.
Yeah, it is really focused on those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I found that interesting when Julia Ducournau was talking about why she used cannibalism. And she says, one, it's always a taboo subject, just in general, in society or horror films. To make a cannibal film, people are already kind of grossed out by it. But she wanted to make one, she said, that took the viewpoint of a cannibal, where when you watch cannibal films, it's really the other. They're the other person, like in Cannibal Holocaust. It's not generally from your protagonist, and she wanted to make it so you kind of empathize with that person.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think, I can't really think of an example of whether that's the case other than this.
Yeah. And one of her tactics, she said, to kind of make you empathize with Justine, the main character, is that hazing ritual at the beginning, where she was saying people were kind of picking on her and they like throw their mattress out the window, make her eat meat.
It's such an intense hazing. Yeah. Oh my God. I was
they're not messing around.
No, so it's almost like you want her to attack these people. Or like in a typical horror, you're like, oh, she's going to, get her revenge on these people for this hazing ritual and eat them because they made her eat raw meat and she's a vegetarian.
I mean, like, she goes to, like, a couple parties, too, where, like, where she gets paint thrown on her, and then, like, they're like, okay, they shove her in with, like, some dude, and they're like, don't come out till you guys are green, because one guy's yellow, and she's blue, and it's just like, what the fuck?
It's messed up.
It's like, what is this fucking college?
Yeah. And she bites his lip off.
Yeah. Or, like, when you have, like... I mean, you see time and time again where, like, these freshmen, like, their shit's just thrown out the windows and have to go get it. And then, like, we talked about the fight a little bit, but, like, we see all these people gathering together. Mm-hmm. Like, do you remember that scene? Like, it's near the end, I want to say, before we go into, like, the ending. But, like, all these people are walking around with, like, blankets or, like... They look like they had like a stereotypical one night stand kind of situation, but it's like it seems like it's like all these young kids that are freshmen that were drugged or something or coming off a hangover. I was just really confused what was happening.
I guess I'm not a very observant movie watcher because like I know what you're talking about, but I didn't really like take the time to process it. So.
That's why it made me think, like, if there was, like, a secret society thing about it, because, like, they, like, drugged all the freshmen to see what happened, kind of, I don't know, like, this, maybe they could get them to eat people, or they could eat them. I don't know. I was trying to make sense out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because the ending, I think, almost... brings about more questions than resolution.
Yes.
It makes you think even more. Even
100%.
Even as you're like, you're starting to feel like, oh, this is where it's going. It throws a curveball at you at the very end.
Yes, it does.
But I think if we want, we can get into that for the sake of time, because I feel like we're going to have a lot to talk about with the ending to try to make sense of the movie. So spoilers, I'll throw that out there because we'll talk about the ending. I guess I'll pose, did the ending help you guys make sense of anything in the movie? Or did it just throw you on a different
I
field?
mean, it made sense as to why the parents were so, like, dead set against the meat thing. You're like, okay, that's why, like, this has been such a, ordeal throughout their life. I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Peter, did you enjoy the ending?
Enjoy is an interesting word. Well, we see. Well, we're just spoiling it now, right?
Yeah, I said spoilers, so we're going to talk about the ending.
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sense out of it. I literally just finished it before coming in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty fresh. So, Justine wakes up to her roommate, who's gay, who she had sex with, possibly killed, or her sister killed. We see the murder weapon. Her and her sister is covered in blood. His leg is eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's arrested, but not Justine. At least I think she's arrested. Some kind of psych ward or jail type situation. And not a whole lot of talking going on. And then she has a conversation with her dad. And I couldn't stop looking at his lip. Because his lip was all fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I didn't notice it before. So I was like, oh man, something's happening. So I was like, okay, both parents are cannibals. And then he like talks on how his mom, about Justine's mom, was like only had him as a friend in college because they met at the veterinary school, and he showed her all the scars that the mom has taken out of the dad. So she's like the true cannibal of the family, and then the sisters, I guess, picked it up hereditary wise. Is what it seems like.
Yeah, that's what I took, and I wasn't expecting that. Like, I was expecting Adrian is Justine's roommate, the gay roommate she had sex with, and Alexa, I believe, killed and then devoured his leg. Yes. And Justine didn't have any part of it because she had that cut on her face that was bandaged, and she woke up and it was off, and it looked like it was open and like something had bit it, to kind of let us know that Alexa was also slightly eating her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And Alexa also ate Adrian, which is Alexa's her sister, and Alexa's in jail, you see through Justine where she's like, "That's messed up. You shouldn't have done that." And she kind of takes Alexa under her wing and cleans her up, and I think kind of hands her over to the authorities, realizing that she has these urges, but she can't really act on them, or she shouldn't act on them. She should control them, which I think is the overall metaphor of the movie, just on your urges and your emotions, being able to control them and not suppress them. But then when the dad goes into his spiel about how their mother has been doing this for years, even at the same veterinary school as you guys, it opened up a lot of new questions for me. Like, is it genetic? I guess maybe it's just supposed to be this is a perpetual problem issue everybody faces, where you're always going to go through these, have these urges, and you're just going to have to learn how to control them, and not just succumb to them. So it wasn't just an isolated incident with the sisters. It's with the mother, and then everybody probably does this somewhere else. Like the society you're talking about. Maybe there is.
I can see the basis for that.
You don't always...
in that regard.
So you guys ready for Raw 2 then?
I'm ready for her follow-up, with any movie.
Yeah, I just had it pulled up. She's done... Here she is. A movie called Junior. I think it's Menage. Which was at the Cannes Film Festival. A lot of her movies are body metamorphosis, as I said. Beautiful cinematography, and they show. It makes me want to go watch those. They're not like horror so much, like cannibalism, but they showed his transformation through like body metamorphosis and change. And she said she really enjoys Cronenberg, which I can kind of see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In this film, the king of body horror.
Mm. So that's kind of her thing.
Which I would say.
So it seems like that's kind of her thing, is the transformation gig.
Mm-hmm. And I would say this one falls more in the body horror genre than any other. Oh, cool. Cannibalism, yeah. I guess that's so, but
it is body horror. It is.
Mm-hmm, yeah. More than exploitation, which you might get with cannibalism films.
There was like it could have been much more exploitative,
mm-hmm.
but there definitely were some scenes that really made me cringe, and like, when she like was like throwing up all her hair was so
oh my
gross.
God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was so long.
Guys,
it was so long and gross.
Yeah, it was a very prolonged.
I have had like intrusive thoughts about that scene. Like when I'm eating something, like I would think about like the next day. I was like, living life, and I thought about it because like I couldn't help it. It was horrible. That is like I think the worst one for me.
I don't know. The other one that I'm thinking of, which is way grosser to me, is when. First off, these sisters are weirdly close.
I know what you're about to say.
They did some weird close things, I thought. Well, like you mentioned the shower when she was like cleaning her off. I guess like you're taking care of her because she's like I don't know what's going on. It was a little weird. But her sister was like, oh, like here, dress up for this party. And she's just like, oh, I was waxing at your age. And then she fucking waxes her.
Yeah, that was too much too.
Yeah,
And then it like led to like some like grisly events, and yeah, that was bad.
It led to her tasting of.
Yeah, she ate her sister's
finger off,
and at that point, I think we're led to believe that like Justine's the only one with this issue. And then it's revealed shortly after that the sister also has that in common with her.
Well, I guess with that, we should, before we go into Defend or Destroy, do you guys have any idea of budget box office for this? I have some numbers.
I'm thinking it's...
Do you think it was
I actually...
thinking it's on the lower side.
What's that? Lower side? Okay.
I actually looked it up and I completely forgot what it was.
Oh, well. Do you think it was a box office success?
I don't think so. I think it's like a success in other ways. Like I think it's reached a better audience with Netflix. Like I think like a lot of people are. I seen like people that are into horror movies are talking about it. It seems like to me.
I think it probably did better critically than commercially, if I were to guess.
The budget was $3.8 million American dollars. Do you think it made back $3.8 million American dollars?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. That's tricky because a lot of people were like walking out of the theaters.
That is true.
Probably not.
Oh yeah, they did talk about that. They talked about a lot of people were walking out.
They were revolted.
I'm guessing probably not 3.0 million American dollars.
It did not. 3.3 million though. Wasn't far off, but did not make back its budget at this point anyway. But it is a huge critical success. I feel like any review I read, or at least the majority, 90%, were in favor of the film. It's 91 on Rotten Tomatoes, so...
I think there's a lot of like really good horror movies out there that have a hard time reaching an audience, like just because it's like horror movies are very different now than they were like even like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can't be as experimental as they were in years past because like I don't know, movies are in a weird cycle right now where like it has to be a superhero movie or whatever to do very well.
True.
Like you have like one or two really good horror movies that come out a year, like, and like people, they're very like, people didn't like Mother, people didn't like The Witch, or like you also have people who really like The Witch and Mother. It's like it's very like you hate it, you love it, like kind of like Hereditary is another one.
Yep. Yeah, I would say this falls right.
And what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I think this one falls right into that category as well that you were talking about.
I agree. Like, there's definitely an audience for it, but it takes some time to reach it. Like, it's kind of like those cult movies of years past. Like, there were plenty of bombs.
Oh yeah.
From in any history of movies, but horror especially, where they reached a better audience. Like The Thing, for example, that movie didn't make any fucking money back, and it's considered a horror classic now.
Yeah, it really, and like when you talk about horror remakes, people go, "Oh, The Thing," or reboots, whatever you want to call it, The Thing, and just in general, everybody loves The Thing, but it was not a success. You're right, at the time. Before we go into Defend or Destroy, I thought I would mention with this film, a lot of the people I saw in certain reviews wrote this reminds them of Suspiria, or someone wrote Suspiria meets Ginger Snaps. If you've seen Ginger Snaps,
I have seen Ginger Snaps,
and one of my friends even said I recommended the movie to her, and she was like, "I'm confused. Reminds me of Suspiria. Thanks for recommending."
I didn't get Suspiria vibes at all.
I guess because it's well, the female protagonist, but it has that like supernatural element that you don't really know what's going on. Like you said, maybe there's a cannibal society. In Suspiria, is there witches? Is it ghosts? What is it? And you're just kind of uneasy the whole time, and I think it can be lended to both beautiful cinematography. Suspiria is like very colorful and everything, and this one not as like it does have a lot of color, but I think it was just beautifully shot.
I agree. That does have that in common with
I
Suspiria,
agree with that.
so I guess I could understand a Suspiria vibe.
Mm-hmm. Like it even has that when they're outside, that gloomy, cloudy, bleak, like Belgian. It takes place in France, but it's a French sky that kind of like it feels like it's I don't know, surrounding them or engulfing them, and even the shots of the horse. It's a vet school. I was very unnerved by those scenes where they were like strapping the horse in to like I don't know what they were doing. Probably just.
Yeah. Oh my god, that really freaked me out.
It was very unnerving, and it's probably just basic veterinary practices to like do that to like help out a horse. And I was like, "What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? This is weird." Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, is this animal abuse?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, and I was like, "Oh, why are they doing this?" Oh wait, they're this is a veterinary school. There's animals. That makes sense.
Can you imagine how heavy a fucking horse is? Like, it was like 8 people getting that horse down.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably they're so big and muscular. They're very heavy, I would assume. Mm-hmm. Well, without further ado, I think we can defend or destroy Raw. Does anybody have any desire or urge to go first?
Take it away, Pete.
I could go first.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely a hard movie to process for me. I watched it in 3 separate sittings to finish it. It was just like, I'd say it's hard to get through. It's not a movie you could get sucked in right away, but I still defend it. I liked it overall. We talked about how well shot it is, and it really is. It's a really well shot movie. From what I can tell, the acting is good. I don't know. I don't speak French, but it seems like it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I felt uneasy the whole time. So check mark right there. It's not often where that happens for me anymore. I was definitely grossed out on multiple occasions, especially with her throwing up her hair. Probably one of the grossest things I've ever seen. And I was just like I was like watching it by myself, and I was screaming. I was like, "Oh, can you please stop? It's too much."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has a lot of great qualities that I can't like really like express, because there's just so many open-ended questions I have for the movie, which I think just like is it a good thing too, but I wish I had more answers to. But then you could also have a worse movie if you have everything out for you.
Yeah, and tied in a ribbon.
Yeah, so it's just like overall good.
Cool. And that's something I know the director, she was talking in one of her interviews after a screening, and she said, I could tell you exactly what I wanted the film to be and mean, but I don't want to, because I've heard so many people's different interpretations, and everybody has a little bit of the right idea. But I think that's what makes the movie better, is you guys taking from it those little pieces that stuck with you and really made you question the film or question yourself, instead of me just being like, here's what I wanted to do, because that's my interpretation. So she wanted to leave it out there because people have said this is a pro-vegan film, it's a feminist film, it's like a coming-of-age film. There's no meaning to this film. It's a boring film. It's too gross. And people have all these different ideas. Mm-hmm.
It's funny that you say a pro-vegan film. Like that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess I'll launch into my Defend or Destroy. I picked it this week. I'll just start with I defend it. I really enjoyed it. I've been meaning to watch it and put it on the podcast for a while, because I recommended it also in the little Halloween horror section that I did to watch Raw, and maybe I'm just drawn. I really like Suspiria. I'm drawn to these types of foreign, I guess, unsettling, not conclusive films. But I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the acting was well. I thought the score was great. I think there was strong metaphors for it. Could even be seen as not even a horror film. There are some gross sequences, but just some sort of a drama with some unsettling moments in the film. So, and it really opened my eyes to Julia Descarnot, who I'm going to watch some of her other movies now, and the director and writer of this film. So I defend it, and I recommend it. It's on Netflix now. And I'd also like to make one final point with the trailer, if you watch it, that it was her intent. If you watch, there's no dialogue, and that was a deliberate choice to not put any dialogue, and it's the score for the most part in the film, in the trailer, and just these images of people, whether it's her like convulsing in the bed, or biting into Adrian's arm. That's like a sequence I remember from the trailer. So it really speaks to her strengths of those body metamorphosis films. She wants to show transformation through people's motions and their actions, and not what they're saying. And she made that very deliberate in the trailer. So, full-fledged defend from me, I guess. And that'll be it. I'll shut up.
All right. Well, rounding us out, I didn't like this movie at all. So it's gonna be a thumbs down from me. I just don't really care for it. I didn't really think the plot was very good. I think it tried too hard to be over the top. And I think it's a little overrated for all the praise that it seems to have received. So, I will say that I've never seen anything like this before, ever. And, yeah, destroy.
All right, I respect that.
Right. So no unanimous
Yeah, I think it's a good
defend.
thing, though, you know? We've been having a lot of unanimous,
I know, that's what I was trying to think, is when's the last one we
It's been a
haven't all
long
defended or destroyed?
I think it's interesting that Lindsay is the one who broke away, because usually
yeah.
I think
usually
I
tend
think
to
it's
agree
me who
with at least
disagrees.
one
It's either me or
person.
Matt. I feel like who disagrees. Like
Right, yeah. We're usually the odd one out.
we're the more opinionated
Sometimes it
ones.
just takes a really, like,
Yeah.
disgusting movie, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like a cannibalistic movie where there's hair vomiting. Like
I
movies
still,
like
like,
that,
get flashes of that scene, like, you know,
Yeah,
today, even, you know?
it's pretty gross.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think that's probably, like, you know, has a lot to do with my dislike of it. It's, like, burned in my mind.
Okay, good. Good to know. Good to know if I recommend Cannibal Holocaust again. That it will get
Fight
shot
both of us. I
down.
don't even have to see it at this point to know that it's going to be a no.
I think that concludes this week's It Records podcast on Raw. Get at us on Facebook or Twitter if you have any ideas for the show you want us to do. You can look at our website. There's a new blog up from an inspiring
A very
writer.
good blog.
He's really got some
Check it out.
He's got some great thoughts. It's me. I wrote a blog on the Suspiria remake. I just compare the original to the remake. I recently saw the remake, so I just kind of compare and contrast them, and it's on the Facebook as well. But until next time, I'm Matt Johnson, and I will remain in the shadows.
I don't know. I was gonna try to make a joke about wrestling Raw, then I couldn't quite figure it out.
I'm Lindsay Clark. Bye.